Chuck Todd is NBC's political director and moderator of Meet the Press. Chuck, good morning. Wow, what a morning you've got ahead on Meet the Press. So much to talk about here. You're so good at this, so let's game this out a little bit about how this is going to happen. We just heard in Garrett's piece all the hypocrisy that's come from Republicans about what they were saying in 2016 versus what they're saying right now. We know some of the women that Donald Trump is thinking about. We know that Democrats are trying to recruit, just like in impeachment, a handful of Republicans to come to their side. So let's say President Trump puts his nominee out there next week. What happens between then and Election Day?
The most likely scenario, and folks that I've been talking with even on both sides of the aisle say that, look, a confirmation hearing, the naming and a confirmation hearing in October is very likely. Not many folks seem to think there's a plausible path to holding an actual vote on a Supreme Court nominee before Election Day. In fact, there's some thinking that in some ways Mitch McConnell might not have the votes. It might be easier for him to get the votes of, say, people like Cory Gardner or Susan Collins after Election Day, not before Election Day. And then there's President Trump, who in his own mind, he believes that that's in some ways the Scalia seat was one of the reasons that got skeptical Republicans to, quote, come home. So leaving it out there almost as a carrot to incentivize people to vote is something that the president wants. So I think the most likely scenario is a naming, confirmation process, and then, of course, an attempt at a confirmation after the election. But there's three potential scenarios after the election. Trump wins, then nominee gets confirmed. Trump loses, but Republicans hold the Senate. It's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight. Republicans will try. We'll see if they find the votes. If it's Democrats win the Senate and the presidency, even though Republicans would control, everybody I've talked to said they could not imagine a scenario that Republicans would have the votes to confirm anybody. So those are your three scenarios there post-election.
It's amazing. And you're rolling out a new NBC Wall Street Journal poll today that shows just how solidified people's minds are about this election. There's a small sliver of the population that's still deciding. So what do you think the impact, if it plays out the way you just laid out, and that's hanging out there on Election Day? Republicans will say that's how high the stakes are. Democrats will say the same. It's about the Supreme Court. What impact do you think that'll have on the vote?
Look, what impact did impeachment, pandemic, global recession, social unrest, nothing has seemed to change the trajectory of this race for 2 years now, which is Donald Trump's behind. It's a referendum on him. I don't think this will change it either. That doesn't mean the Republican candidates really want to. Republican Senate candidates in most states desperately want to change the subject. The question is, what will be on the minds of voters over the next 6 weeks? The virus or this court pick? Here's the thing. Every time Republicans have hoped it would be something else, it does seem like the virus is front and center. Today, we're hitting 200,000 deaths, Willie. Yes, we are. Buckle up for the next 6 weeks. Chuck Todd, thanks so much. We'll look for much more this morning on Meet the Press about the fight coming over the next Supreme Court justice. Among Chuck's guests, former presidential nominee and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.